Handicapper Steve here, handicapping the racing from Cheltenham Racecourse here on Thursday. It is the 18th of March 2021. We're going to look at all the races on day 3 of the festival, but before I get on to that, remember to please follow me on Twitter at Horse Racing Kit 5 for more selections for racecourses around the world. And remember to join me tomorrow for the final day of the festival from Cheltenham, a Gold Cup day. It looks like it's going to be an excellent card and race, so join me for that. And join me Saturday for my Midlands Grand National preview from Uttoxeter, and also for my Louisiana Derby preview from the fairgrounds. So excellent racing this weekend, and also next week also, but that's next week. But today's card from Cheltenham is my favorite card so far this week. We have 7 races and 7 wide open races, so let's get to it right now, starting off with the opener from Cheltenham. The 120, the opener from Cheltenham, it is the Grade 1 Marsh Novices Chase. It's a Grade 1 event for Class 1 horses going for a purse of $180,000, race for novice 5-year-olds and upwards. We have 8 horses going the distance of ground of 4,000 meters or 2.5 miles over the Chase course. As a top selection here, we'll have to take the 6-horse Envoy Elaine. I did say it's from wide open racing, but this race it looks like he's going to go to the favorite. We're going to go 6-3-1 in the tri-cash trifecta. 6-3-1 tri-cash trifecta. Top selection 6-horse Envoy Elaine. The 7-year-old gelding here. Jack Kennedy gets him out for Henry de Bromehead. The horse's most recent outing came in the Grade 3 Killarney. Killenny Novices Chase at Punchestown, 2.5 miles in mid-January, and the horse went by 3.5 lengths, and at 50 cents to the dollar, he did everything right and more, quickened up nicely. There was nothing bad about that race, facing not the world's toughest group of horses. Back to Cheltenham today, I think he could really be sitting on a good race. His races so far this season, since going to the bigger obstacles, have been a lot better than he was coming to the festival last year. 2 back, he ran the Drinmore Novices Chase at Ferry House, 2.5 miles on the 29th of November. He won by 8.5 lengths there, and again, a very heavy favorite. He was just cruising along, jumping well, an all-around good race, and then a beginner's chase before that, Down Royal in October, 2 miles 7/16. He won by 6 lengths, and again, with a ginormous weight on his pack, he just won for fun. He ran here at the festival last year, and he won the Ballymore Novices Hurdle by 4.5 lengths. He had to be used a lot that day, but he got the job done. That was a very, very good, exciting victory for him. Since then, he's been pretty perfect. He's been perfect, 12 for 12, and I think he can make a baker's dozen today. At 3-5, let's use him. If there could be a horse that could slightly upset the 3-horse Chantry House, you could use him on your place pots, but can he beat Envoy Lane? He's coming to this race decently, but he's stepping up a major class. His win a few weeks ago at Weatherby was very nicely run, and before that, here at Cheltenham, the race at the festival last year wasn't half bad over the smaller obstacles, but the race in December, he just kind of hit the wall late, but the race before that at Ascot wasn't half bad. If he could run the Ascot and Weatherby race, he could make it a little bit more interesting. But can he beat Envoy Lane? We'll have to wait and see, but at 7-1, we'll use him in the place pots, but, like I said, Envoy Lane on paper looks very hard to beat. Did I mention that already? But to recap my selection for the 120, the opener from Cheltenham, it is the Grade 1 Marsh's Novices Chase. Let's take the 6-horse Envoy Lane. Like I said, if you want to use the 3-horse Chantry House in your place pot, you can. You go 6-3-1 in the tri-cash trifecta to the second. The second race, the 155 from Cheltenham, it is the Grade 3 Pertemps Network Final Handicap Hurdle. It's a Grade 3 event for Class 1 horses going for a purse of $103,000. Races for 5-year-olds and upwards. We have a field here of 26 horses entered to go 4,800 meters or 3 miles over the hurdle course. This is a very wide open race. I'm going to give you 3 horses that I think can win, and I'm going to give you exact order how I like them. But usually I give TriCast out, or like I said, my top 3. Play them exact forecast combinations, but my top 3 would be, as a top selection, I would take the 11-horse Champagne Platinum, and we would go 11-12-5, 11-12-5, use them in the exact forecast combinations, but most definitely use them in the place pots. But we'll start off with the 11-horse Platinum, or Champagne Platinum. The similar by Stowaway. Nico de Boinville's on this one for Nicky Henderson. The horse's most recent appearance came on the 20th of February over at Haydock, 3 miles in a Class 2 handicap hurdle, and he finished second by 8.5 lengths. He just had a high weight. The winner was carrying 18 less pounds than him, which I think was the jump for him. This horse just kind of really couldn't get going late. I think just the weight got to him. Coming here, and also it was his first start since November. Coming here second off the bench, a lot less weight. I think he's in a more realistic spot, and I think he's handicapped well to win this race. 2 back in a Class 2 handicap hurdle in Newbury, 2 miles 9/16, 20th of November. Do think the trip was too short, but he finished third by 3.25 lengths. And back to the smaller obstacles, he jumped a good race. Like I said, just the trip was too short, but there was nothing bad about that race. He ran here at the festival last year in the amateur handicap chase, where he finished second by seventh by 11 lengths. And as the 5-1 favorite, he just couldn't keep up. And I also think the bigger obstacles really just were a detriment to his well-being that day, because he just wasn't excelling over it. And then before that, in the Sicily Isles at Sandown in February 2020, he finished third by 19 lengths. And he never weakened out of it, but never quickened up either. He just couldn't keep up with those slightly better horses. And also 2.5 miles not to his liking. He's more of a 3-mile horse. He's going to get the 3-mile trip today. He's good handicap here. At 5-1, let's use him. Second likeliest one is 12 horse Southfield Harvest, 7-year-old gelding by Cave Terror. Harry Coben's on this one for Paul Nichols. Most recently, they ran the horse at Newbury on yielding ground, 3 miles in a Class 2 handicap at the end of February, where he finished third by 2 3/4 lengths. And as the 4-1 favorite, he just lacked a really good turn of foot late, but he was at the right trip. I do think the lack of turn of foot was because it was his first start since Boxing Day. That came at Wincanton, 2 miles 5/8 in a Class 2 handicap hurdle, and he finished second by a neck, and he jumped a good race. He just couldn't get there late, but he ran just as good as a winner there. Major improvement off the race before, which came at Ascot, 2 miles 3/4 in a Class 2 novice hurdle, where the horse finished second by 3 lengths there, facing winners there. He just really couldn't get the the really good turn of foot. He just kind of plodded along. First start since February of 2020. Like I said, neither race, but he has a logical chance of winning. He's been improving with every race. We'll use him on the ticket, along with the number 5 horse here, Imperial Alcazar. Paddy Brennan's on this one, the 7-year-old gelding by Vinnie Rowe, Fergal O'Brien trains. His most recent race at Warwick in January over the 3 miles and 8th handicap hurdle, he won by 2.5 lengths, and he stayed the trip well, had a lot left in the tank, didn't even get used late. A all-around good race. Before that, though, in the Stayers handicap hurdle, Haydock over the 3 miles, in November, he just was not a fresh horse, so couldn't stay the trip, finished 9th by 16 lengths, hit the wall there. It was his first start since January 2020, so probably need the race. That January 2020 race came at Leicester in a National Hunt Novice Hurdle, where he won by 6.5 lengths, stayed the trip well, a very easy race. When he wins by a lot. When he loses by a lot, but I think he's in a more realistic spot to win. Off a little bit of a break. At 9-2, we'll also use him in the place pots, but to recap my selection for the second, the 155 from Cheltenham, it is the Grade 3 Pertemps Network Final Handicap Hurdle. As a top selection, we'll take the 11 horse Champagne Platinum. We'll give kudos to the 12 horse Southfield Harvest and the 5 horse Imperial Alcazar. We'll go 11, 12, 5 at the TriCast trifecta, and like I said, use all 3 of them in the place pot and forecast combinations. Let's get to the third from Cheltenham. The 2:30, the third race from Cheltenham, it's the co-feature Grade 1 Ryanair Chase. It's a Grade 1 event for Class 1 horses, going for a purse of $363,000. Race for 5-year-olds and upwards. We have 14 horses going. The distance of ground here, 4,200 meters, or 2 miles and 5/8 over the Chase course. As a top selection, I'm going to take the 2-horse Chris's Dream. We'll go 2-12-8 in the TriCast trifecta. 2-12-8 TriCast trifecta. Top selection of 2-horse Chris's Dream. This 9-year-old gelding by Mauler. Robbie Power gets that mount for Henry de Bromhead. The horse's most recent outing came the 6th of December at Punchestown, 2 miles and 9/16 in the Grade 1 John Durkin Memorial Punchestown Chase, and he finished 5th by 23 lengths there. He never weakened out of it, but he never quickened up either. He just kind of plodded along. It was an okay race. Maybe the heavy ground got to him. Coming here off the bench, back to Cheltenham, I expect him to really run a good race with the class relief from last year. 2 back, he ran the Champion Chase up down Royal, 3 miles on the 31st of October, and he finished second by a neck. And off the bench, he really ran a good race. He jumped well, quickened up nicely. There was nothing bad about that race there. He ran just as good as the winner. But then here last year in the Gold Cup at the festival, 3 miles and a quarter on the 13th of March, he couldn't keep up with Album Photo. He finished 10th by 18 lengths. It just wasn't his day to win with the very long trip. Cutting back almost 6 furlongs today. He's in a more realistic spot to win. But before that, at Gowan in the Red Mills Chase last February, he won by 2 1/4 lengths, and he ran a terrific race. His most recent race wasn't bad, but if you take that out, he's been running these good races, and I think he should get the trip. At 21, we'll use him. Your second likeliest winner here is a 12 horse St. Calvados, a horse I backed many times in his career. Gavin Sheehan gets on this one for Harry Whittington, 8-year-old gelding by Sante Saints. Most recently, he ran the Cotswold Chase at Sandown over the 3 miles in February, where he didn't finish the race. He lost. Sheehan, what can you do? Native River just ran that better race, though. Before that, he ran in the King George at Kempton, 3 miles in December on Boxing Day. He finished 4th by 8.5 lengths, and he kind of hit the wall late. First start since March, he needed the race there. And then in last year's Ryanair Chase at 16-1, he placed placed behind Min, and he was really jumping a good race. He quickened up nicely, nothing bad about that race. And then before that, in the Paddy Power Handicap Chase on New Year's 2020 here at Cheltenham, again, he placed that day, jumping a very good race. So he likes running here locally. Most recent race, just couldn't keep afloat against some very tough horses, cutting back in trip at 8-1, another very likely winner. And also, want to keep an eye on the 8-horse Melon, the old man here, 9-year-old gelding. His most recent race wasn't very good at Leopardstown over the extended 3 miles, but cutting back to 2 miles 5/8 back to Cheltenham, where he always runs these sneaky races like he did last year at the festival. At 6-1, definitely use them in your tickets. But to recap my selection for the third, the 2:30 from Cheltenham, it is the Grade 1 Ryanair Chase. We'll take the 2-horse Chris's Dream as a top selection. We'll give kudos to the 12-horse St. Calvados and the 8-horse Melon. We'll go 2-12-8 Tri-Cash Trifecta and use all 3 of them in the place pot. Let's get to the featured 4th race from Cheltenham. The co-featured 4th race, the 305 from Cheltenham, it is the Grade 1 Paddy Power Stayers Hurdle. It's Grade 1 event for Class 1 horses going for a purse of $329,000, race for 4-year-olds and upwards. We have a field of 15 horses going in the distance of ground of 4,800 meters or 3 miles over the hurdle course. As a top selection here, we're going to take the 4-horse Fury Road. We'll go 4-5-7 in the Tri-Cash Trifecta. 4-5-7 Tri-Cash Trifecta, top selection of 4-horse Fury Road. 7-year-old gun by Stowaway. Jack Kennedy gets them out for Denise Foster. The horse's most recent outing came the 21st of February at Navan. 2 miles 5/8 in the Grade 2 Boyne Hurdle, and he finished second by a neck. He was jumping well. He had a decent turn of foot. He just couldn't get there late, but he ran a terrific race. Compared to the race before, where he didn't really run well in the Christmas Hurdle at Leopardstown, 3 miles on the 20th of December, where he finished 4th by 9 lengths there, and he just really couldn't keep up. He had a few mistakes. He was just very lackadaisical during that run. And then prior to that, in the Grade 2 Celebration Hurdle at Punchestown, 2 miles 9/16, 15th of November, first off the long bench, he won by 3.5 lengths, and at $36 against some very lesser quality horses, he got the job done, winning very nicely, jumping a strong race. He ran here at the festival last year over the hurdles in the Albert Bartlett, where he finished 3rd by neck behind Monkfish. We all know what Monkfish did yesterday. He ran a terrific race, putting on show, the best performance so far at the festival. But this horse last year ran put some money to his mouth and really ran a good race. He jumped well, quickened up nicely, just couldn't get there late. But there was nothing bad about that race. Coming back here in 2021, he's facing some very tough horses, but I think at 12-1, he could really jump a good race, so we'll use him. I also like the 5-horse here if the cap's fit. This 9-year-old gelding by Milan. Daryl Jacob gets on this one for Harry Fry. Most recent race at Taunton in a handicap chase over 3.5 miles in January. He finished second by 5 lengths, and I do think the trip was a little bit too long for him. He kind of hit the wall late, but I thought that was a good stamina builder. Coming back here, being a very fresh horse for his first start in 8 weeks, I think he's sitting on a very good race. Also, he likes running here at Cheltenham. 2 back and Kempton on Boxing Day, 3 miles in the Quota Star Novices Chase. He finished 3rd by 7.5 lengths. He was just a little bit too far out of it, but he was jumping well, excelling late. A decent race there. And then before that, an intermediate chase at Sandown, 3 miles in November. He finished second by 2.5 lengths. It's a 40 cents a dollar favorite. I don't know if he was really geared up to win that day. He just kind of plodded along. It was an okay race, but like I said, I just don't know if he was geared up there. And then before that, his seasonal reappearance at Floss and Novice Chase, he won by 7.5 lengths, beating the group of horses home very, very nicely. Coming to this race well, cutting back in trip at 20-1, another horse to use on your place pot tickets. And you can't throw out last year's winner, Linzagar Oscar, this 8-year-old gelding by Oscar here. Here's Harry Skelton gets on this one for Rebecca Curtis. You won't see 50-1 like you saw on this horse last year. Actually went off at 84-1 here in States last year in this race, where he won by 2 lengths, jumping a good race, beating Ronald Pump home and also Paisley Park home, who ran a disgustingly horrible race in this race last year and hasn't been the same since. That's why I'm not picking him here. I can't back him at 9-5. But Linzagar Oscar, he just kept putting on a show. His running was great, an all-around good run. Since then, he's really been a little inconsistent. His first race at Weatherby, he needed off the bench. He really just never jumped well, never quickened up. The race at Newbury on very fast ground. I don't think he liked the fast ground because he really just couldn't get a good turn of foot and he really just wasn't excelling there. But back to soft ground last time out of Haydock, I thought he had a very good place. Back to soft ground, back to Cheltenham, where this horse has always run well in the past. At 10-1, definitely use him on your tickets, but you won't see 84 or 50-1 like you saw last year. But at 10-1, like you'll see today, he does have a strong chance of winning to make it the repeat. But to recap my selection for the 305, the 4th race from Cheltenham, it is the Grade 1 Stayers Hurdle. We'll take as a top selection of 4-horse Fury Road. We'll give kudos to the 5-horse if the cap's Pertemps Fit, and the 7-horse Linzagar Oscar. We'll go 4, 5, 7 tri-cash, trifecta, and like I said, use all 3 of them in the place pod. So now let's get to the 5th race, the 340 from Cheltenham. The 5th race from Cheltenham, the 340, it is the Grade 3 Paddy Power Plate Handicap Chase. It's a Grade 3 event for Class 1 horses, going for a purse of $113,000, raced for 5-year-olds and upwards. A very large field of 23 horses entered to go the distance of ground here of 4,200 meters, or 2 miles and 5/8 over the Chase course. This is a very wide open race. I'm going to give you 2 horses that I think can win. Use them both exact forecast combinations, but most definitely use them in your place pots. The 2 horses I'll be using would be the 2-horse Caribbean Boy and the 13-horse here, 2 Taffs. So 213. We'll start off with the 2-horse Caribbean Boy. This semi-gelding by my boy Charlie. Daryl Jacob gets them out for Nicky Henderson. The horse's most recent outing came the 6th of February at Sandown, a mile 15/16 in a Class 2 handicap chase, and he finished 4th by 5.5 lengths. And he just couldn't keep up the faster horses over the 2-mile trip. He just kind of plodded along, never quickened up, never weakened out of it either. But I do think the trip was just a little bit too short. Back to a 2.5 miles, a little over 2.5 miles to 2 miles 5 furlongs today, more in his wheelhouse. I expect him to really run a good race. 2 back in a graduation chase at Ascot, 2 miles 5/8 December the 19th. He finished 3rd by 7 lengths, and he kind of hit the wall late. I do think the very waterlogged ground got to him, but he still, it was an okay kind of run. And then before that, Newberry on the 27th of November, 2.5 miles in the Grade 2 Ladbrokes Novices Chase, winning by 4 lengths. With the heavyweight, he just jumped well, quickened up nicely, beating a good group of horses home. Before that, last season, he ran in mid-February of 2020 at Haydock, 2.5 miles in a Class 3 limited handicap chase where he won by 5, again, jumping a good race. So he has some hidden form. His form has kind of slightly decreased with the last race, but that was over a shorter trip. Back to a longer trip, a little bit of a quicker ground, not so quick, like fast quick, but not so heavy and sludgy like you had heavy. I think in the middle to yielding today should really suit him well. And I think at 8-1, even with a heavy weight here, I think he get the job done. So we'll use him along with the 13-horse 2 Taffs, 11-year-old gelding here, so he's been around the park. Sam Twiston-Davies gets them out for Nigel Twiston-Davies. Most recently, they ran the horse at Leicester in November on very fast ground for that time of year. 2.5 miles in a Class 2 handicap chase. Finished 4th by 5.75 lengths there. He was on the drive and just not really excelling. He likes a yielding ground, which you'll see today. And he should be really fresh running here today. 2 back, he ran the 13th of March at Cheltenham last year, 2 miles in the Grand Annual, where he finished 11 by 14 lengths there, and he completely hit the wall. Do think your trip was just too short from there. And then before that, at Warwick in February of 2020, 2.5 miles in a Class 2 handicap chase, finishing 2nd by 4.5 lengths. He jumped well, he had a decent turn of foot. He just couldn't catch the winner, who was just a little bit classier than him. But again, nothing bad about that race. He gets a good weight here. He'll be very fresh. At 20-1, let's use him on the ticket in this very wide open contest. But to recap my selection for the 340, the 5th race from Cheltenham, it is the Grade 3 Paddy Power Plate Handicap Chase. We'll use the 2-horse Caribbean Boy, and also the 13-horse 2 Taffs, 213 forecast exacta, place pot combinations, definitely use them there. So now let's get to the 6th race from Cheltenham. The 415, the 6th race from Cheltenham, it is the Grade 2 Parnell Properties Mares Novices Hurdle. It's a Grade 2 event for Class 1 horses, going for a purse $92,500, race for novice 4-year-olds and upwards, fillies mares only. 15 horses are going the distance of ground of 3,400 meters, or 2 miles and 1/8 over the hurdle course. As a top selection here, we'll take the number 10 horse Mighty Blue. We'll go 10-7-6 in the tri-cash trifecta. 10-7-6 tri-cash trifecta. Top selection is 10-horse Mighty Blue, 5-year-old mare by Authorized. J.J. Slevin gets on this one for Joseph O'Brien. The horse's most recent appearance came at Ferry House on the 8th of February, 2 miles and a quarter in the Grade 3 Celerina Mares Novice Hurdle, where she finished 4th by 6.5 lengths, and she never quickened up, never weakened out of it. She stayed the trope well, but she's going to have to quicken up today. But she does jump fluidly, which I think should suit her well to this race, since it is over the jumps. 2 back, she ran at the hurdles on the 20th of December, 2 miles in a Class 1 Mares Novice Hurdle, and she finished 2nd by 3 lengths. Again, staying the trip well, jumping a good race, just need that extra turn of foot, but there was nothing bad about that event there. And then before that, at Gowan over the jumps, 20th of November, 2 miles in a Novice Hurdle, she finished 4th by 3.5 lengths. With the debut there, again, she was jumping a good race, but she just needs that extra something. She's been jumping good, but like I said, she just needs a good run. And if she sits close today, I think she could run a good race. 21 will use her. Your second likeliest winner here is the 7-horse Hookup. This 5-year-old mare by No Risk at All gets Mullins up for Willie Mullins. Most recently, they ran them in the Chanel Pharma Novices Hurdle at Leopardstown in February, where the horse placed that day, finishing 4th by 7.5 lengths. Appreciated just ran that terrific race. This horse just never quickened up there, just kind of plodded along. It was an okay race. She might want a little longer in the future, but I think she can get the trip here today because she has won over the 2 miles. But those were against a little lesser quality horses in a main hurdle in November, where she won by a dozen, winning very, very easily. But like I said, against very lesser quality horses. After that, they ran her in a mare's hurdle at Fairy House in early January, where she finished second by 5 lengths. And again, she just got going a little bit too late. She ran here at the festival last year in the Triumph Hurdle, where she finished 11th by 29 lengths, just not keeping up with those better horses. But this race is not nearly as tough as last year, and I think at 4-1 she has a massive shot. And I think the 6-horse Glens of Eitrim is your wise guy horse. John Joe O'Neill's is on this one. This horse has been improving with every single race, cutting back in trip from the last one to the 2 miles, which should really suit her well. She's always jumping well. 6-1, another very likely winner in this very wide open race. So to recap my selection for the 4:15, the 6th race from Cheltenham, it is the Grade 2 Parnell Properties Mayor's Novice Hurdle. We're going to take the 10-horse Mighty Blue as a top selection. We'll give kudos to the 7-horse Hookup and the 6-horse Glens of Atrim. We'll go 10-7-6, Tricast, Trifecta, and like I said, use them all in the place pot. Let's get to Nightcap here on Thursday's program from Cheltenham. The Nightcap, the 450 from Cheltenham. It is the Muir Handicap Chase. It's Class 2 Handicap Chase going for a purse $72,000, race for 5-year-olds and upwards. Horses raised 0 to 145. 24 horses are entered to go the distance of ground here of the Gold Cup trip, 5,200 meters or 3 miles and a quarter over the Chase course. Another very wide open race. I'll give you 2 horses that I think can win it in no particular order. Definitely use them in your place pots and forecast combinations, but we'll be using the 3 and 7, the 3-horse Mount Ida, and the 7-horse Chanteau Flyer. So 3-7 for me. We'll start off with the 3-horse Mount Ida. The 7-year-old mare by Yeats. Jack Kennedy gets the mount for Denise Foster. The horse's most recent outing came at Thurles on the 27th of January, 2 miles and a half, and the Grade 2 Coolmar National Hunt, Kew Irish EBF Mares Novice Chase. The horse finished second by 12 lengths. The winner just jumped that better race, but this horse at 2.5 miles was jumping well, had a decent turn of foot, but just got beat by a lot better horse. Going to a long trip shouldn't be a problem. I think this is something this horse has been really crying out for, and with the class relief, I think the horse could really get something going today. 2 back in a mare's Novice Chase at Cork, 2 miles and 1/8, the 6th of December. She won by 4.5 lengths there, and she stayed the trip well. She quickened up nicely in the soft ground, an all-around decent effort there, and then before that, a beginner's chase on heavy ground at Cork, 2 miles and 1/8. She finished third by 4.5 lengths, and her wheels were spinning that day, and I just don't think she liked the very wet ground. But since coming here, last year she ran at the festival in the Mayor's Hurdle, where she finished 10th by 35 lengths and completely leading the wall. But coming here, a longer trip, which I think she's been crying out for, at 10-1, I think she could beat the boys. So we'll use her along with the 7-horse Chanteau Flyer, this 11-year-old gelded by Chanteau. So he's been around the block a few times. Harry Coben gets on this one for Paul Nichols. Most recently, they ran the horse at Wincanton on heavy ground on the 20th of February in a Class 3 Handicap Chase, where he finished second by 2 lengths and was really jumping a good race. He just couldn't catch the winner late, but there was nothing bad about that run. Before that, at Wincanton, again on heavy ground, 3 miles and 1/8 in a Class 3 Handicap Chase, finishing 4th by 11 lengths. First start since March. He needed the race. He was jumping well early on, but then he just kind of hit the wall late. But it was definitely an improvement off the race 4, which came here at the festival last year in the Hunter's Chase, where he finished third by 15 lengths, and he had a high weight of 168 pounds, and he just really couldn't keep up late, and he's better than the rest that day, but it wasn't the most impressive runs for him. But he's really become a lot better horse since they put the blinkers or the headgear on. He's going to get it again today. He has a good weight of 161 pounds. At 8-1, let's use the old man on the ticket. But to recount my selection for the 7th, the 450 from Cheltenham. God, me, I can't speak now. I've been talking way too much. But the 450, the 7th race from Cheltenham, it's the Muir Handicap Chase. As a top selection, we'll take the 3-horse Mount Ida, give kudos to the 7-horse Chanteau Flyer. We'll go 3-7 forecast exacta, and like I said, use them both in the place pot. So good luck to all. Remember to please follow me on Twitter at Horse Racing Kit 5 for more selections for race courses around the world. And also join me tomorrow for some more Cheltenham previews on Gold Cup Day. Good luck, everybody.